What's going on, everyone? 22nd of October 2017. Motivation to make a video here in light of the ongoing catastrophe in Puerto Rico. There's still people down there without power and access to basic necessities. Well, not necessarily basic necessities, but items that you and I take for granted every day, such as electricity and running water. And that second one is really important here because in any major catastrophe, the one thing that everybody always panics and runs to the store and gets right away is bottled water, because most of us, myself included, could go a good week or two without a meal, but without clean water, we wouldn't last more than a couple of days. So an old trick that I learned a long time ago when I used to go camping is how to make a rocket stove. Now I'm going to improvise a little bit because I don't have that nice 1-inch auger bit that I had back in the day, but for demonstrational purposes this will work just fine. So what a rocket stove is, and there's many different names for what a rocket stove is, Ranger stove, Scout stove, there's a couple, 2 or 3 different names, but essentially what it is it is simply an improvised stove made out of a log that draws air through using the basic principles of thermodynamics, and hot air rises, etc., and using that to either boil water or cook food. Now the reason this is a great idea and why we should know how to do this is we're so dependent on technology in the modern world. And think of it like this: if the power went out right now, like absolutely right now, and it wasn't going to come on for, say, a month, do you and your family have what it would take, or have the knowledge to survive? Because let's amp this up a little bit. Okay, the power's off for a month, including running water, and the government's not coming to save you. For some reason the roads are impassable, or because of a mass casualty situation, they're not coming for whatever reason. So you got to be able to, at the very least, get water for you and your family. Okay, so this is a really good skill set to have. Okay, so, and it doesn't require much, for demonstrational purposes. Okay, just pull a random piece of wood off my wood pile here. Okay, just something that's big enough so that you can drill basically a couple of holes in it. Now I don't have a 1-inch drill bit. I got a 1/2-inch drill bit, or actually a little bit bigger. I think it's whatever, it's not listed anymore, whatever. But you drill a couple holes down, and what I got here is I got a couple of holes drilled in the center of this log. So find the approximate center, drill a hole or two, and then what I got here is just a 1-inch spade bit. That's junk anyways, but it'll work. So you drill all the way down, so you take your drill, bottom it out. Ooh. Stand by for a sec. Alright, sorry about that. So you drill down, and then you find approximately how far you drill down. Mark that off. I just used a piece of my girl's sidewalk chalk, and then you drill in until the 2 points meet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Stand by. Okay, so now that I got my hole drilled in here to the center, essentially it creates a little chimney effect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use that 1-inch diameter spade bit to enlarge this entrance hole and this chimney hole to 1-inch diameter. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Stand by. Alright, after you do that, you basically end up with something like this. Where you got a 1-inch going down. Kind of mangled the top here, but for illustration purposes it'll work. So you got 1 inch going down and 1 inch going in. And what you do, or at least this is what's worked best for me, is you get a little bit of accelerant, like a just standard charcoal fluid, kerosene, something like that. For God's sakes, don't use gasoline. I don't want to be responsible for somebody burning their eyebrows off. And you gently pour it down in here. That's just the same principle as when you start a charcoal fire. It's enough to get this central area burning, and then use small pieces of tinder, just some small little sticks, and you feed them either down here or you can feed a little bit through here. Now you don't want to get the fire going too much in this area, because this is just to draw the air in, and as it gets hotter and you start getting coal base built up, it'll pull the air in through here, and it will burn through here. Then after about 10 minutes or so, once you got it sustained, you simply put a couple of rocks here in these four corners, so that way you don't put your cook surface here, like your cast iron or skillet or a coffee pot or whatnot, and put the fire out. And it works really well. So I'm going to finish this guy up here. I'm going to go ahead and fire it up, and I'll be right back with you. Stand by. Okay, so I set this here in Weber just for safety purposes. Now, so what I did is I just basically took like a 2-second squirt of just regular charcoal lighter fluid down the hole here and lit it. Now when you first start her up, you're obviously going to get the fire coming out of both ends. And one of the things that helps this guy get going is to face this entrance hole here towards the wind. So the wind's at my back, blowing in. Yeah, there's a little bit of fluid that dribbled out. But she's going, and after, a good minute or so, you'll start feeding it little tiny pieces of tinder. Tree bark works awesome. Tiny strips of paper, pine needles, anything in the pinch. This is, survival oriented. So even these dry leaves around here. Key is that you can make this with, basic hand tools and fire it up with whatever you got readily available. So I'm going to let this get started a little bit, and I'll be back once it's fully going here, and I'll show you how to set it up so you could cook or boil water. Like I mentioned earlier, that clean drinkable water is the key to survival. So I'll be back in a few minutes once this thing is fully going. It's just a quick update. It's been about 5 minutes. You can see I got a nice healthy flame here. See, that wind really does help it out. And the reason that this is such an awesome idea is, think about how much wood you would need in any other circumstance to boil water or cook food. You'd need, actually quite a bit of it. I've done enough outdoor camping to know that you need, quite a bit of wood that's dry in order to cook food or boil water. What I got here is one piece of wood. So if I had, 7, 8, 9 pieces, or maybe just one log, and these things by about maybe 1 foot, and about maybe 5, 6 inches across. Perfect. So what I'm going to do now is get a couple of rocks. The flatter the better. Well, let's see here. One more. Okay. Put them here on the outside. And the whole point of that is just to provide a spacer. And now, got this nice little pan here. That's just garbage I just use in the garage for illustration purposes. Go ahead and set that on the fire. See those rocks? Provides a nice little cooking space there, so that air can still get drawn in through here and can still escape out. And in a few moments, this will definitely be starting to boil. And bring water to a rolling boil for a good 2 to 5 minutes, and any parasites, bacteria, viruses, what have you, any living organism that is in this water will now be dead. Now it goes without saying, before you boil your water, strain it, run it through a shirt or something to get as much of the particulate matter out as possible. But then you bring it to a rolling boil, and then about 4 or 5 minutes, you got yourself enough water to drink. Let it cool down before you drink it. And there you have it. It probably won't taste as good as that artesian spring water that you're used to getting. But hey, after a hurricane, earthquake, tornado, flood, or any other man-made disaster or act of nature, you can't get clean water. There you have it. It's already starting to boil a little bit there in the bottom. So I'll be back in just a few moments once this thing's at a full rolling boil. All right, well anyways, after sitting here thinking for a minute, do you guys really give a damn about seeing a pot of boiling water? But you get the gist. So this contraption literally took me all of 5 minutes to make. A little longer if you had to actually cut it, but I already had these logs cut to lengths because I'm getting ready to split them for my fireplace for winter. But so again, when you get your log, if you drill in the center approximately all the way down and then all the way in till they meet, and if you had a 1-inch bit, it would work even better. I don't. The biggest bit I have actually is a little over 1/2 of an inch. So I drilled 2 or 3 pilot holes. Then I opened it up with this 1-inch spade bit, and the rest is what you see there. So hopefully if this tidbit works out well for you guys, hopefully it helps you out in the future. Any questions, throw them down in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Have a blessed day.